What happened in Israel and Hamas conflicts the day before the bombing of the hospital, killing 500 people, that shows that that's the end of humanity. Seems like both the warring parties are exacerbating this conflict, and it's spilling over with the other parties baiting with the breath to pounce upon, which leads to nowhere actually. Any diplomacy won't work. Any government, any intermediaries or arbitrators won't be able to do much in the wake of this recalcitrance and 12th day of this conflict that has left thousands of people maimed, dismembered, homeless, killed, and now the situation is so dire, so dismal, that the bodies are not getting even to be covered, to be shrouded. There are no more morgues, there are no more refrigeration system working. There's no dignity in death. And regardless of the affiliations or blaming and counter-blaming and pointing finger at each other, that's not going to make any headway. And this is the situation, a kind of a quagmire, a stalemate that only the UN with its veto members and those with the political strong sayings and backings, or those parties which are either clandestinely or covertly, overtly supporting this crisis to further deepen and also to further spill over, escalate the rest of the world, part of the world where people have started in binaries, whether you are Zionist or Islamist, whether you're supporting one against the other, whether you are going to obliterate the part of the land of the full land, the land which has been there thousands of years. I'm talking about the Palestine, which is the land of those original inhabitants. They have been there, they have already been subjugated, sidelines, pushed to the brink of non-existence, and now they're being further eliminated by the vast collection and deployment of the biggest frigates with hundreds of fighter planes. What are we trying to? What is the superpower the U.S. is aiming at? How is it going to diffuse the tension? How is it going to be a party of one of those two warring factions, warring countries? And what kind of diplomacy is going to work in the wake of this carnage? It's a pogrom of a sort. It's a kind of, doomsday, and it's annihilation where the entire populace is at the mercy and the cruelty of the other side, which is extremely powerful, which is the most advanced weaponries with the highest intelligence agencies, which is touted to be technologically so advanced that there's no match for it, and it's further being aided and abated by the moving of all those deployments very close to the borders, and it's like encouraging the other warring nations, warring factions, or warring parties who are directly and indirectly involved with this, whether it's Iran or whether it's Jordan, Syria, or the other armed groups or affiliates. So what are we heading for? And what is there any viable solutions? Are we really trying to reach any kind of settlement, temporary ceasefire, which is give some room, some breathing space for those who are dying for the want of food, for the want of medical aid, for the want of immediate fuel supply for the generators, which has been somehow running the hospitals with hundreds and thousands of maimed, dismembered, injured, brutally assaulted people, men, women, children, elderly people. Now, what is the rescue plan? I mean, what are the rescue plans, and how the world can remain? How can they remain so passive onlooker from outside, and then keep trumpeting the same thing? Okay, one party has inflicted lots of serious crimes against humanity in the first place, but that doesn't have to be equaled with even more atrocious, more outrageous, more inhuman act of almost obliterating the entire of Gaza Strip, with 2 million people asked to vacate within 24 hours of dire warning, without any transport, without any place to go, without any border to be open to let them in. Now, Egypt has refused to let them in. The other borders are already sealed, and they are being asked to be herded like animals and cattle towards the south, because north has to be cleared for the Israelis to keep eliminating, obliterating whatever is left of. So if this is going to be a lasting solution to this two-nation-state theories, which has been thought over and propounded by all the UN members, including Security Councils, and there have been vetoes and resolutions so far, which are actually shrunken Palestinians into a small ghetto like the biggest jail on earth. No. Now, if there is any logic in keeping 2 million people at the beck and call, the mercy, in the behest of having a separate land for them, and having the bigger party, Israelis, to keep encroaching upon, indenting and sustaining all kinds of brutalities and savagery, with the top military personnel, with the top deployments, with the most advanced barrage of missiles, and penetrating deeply into those armless, helpless, and resourceless victims of the war, those who have been innocently watching the unfolding of the biggest tragedy this universe or the world has ever witnessed. So this is the sort of altogether different third world war, where the rest of the nations are only waiting to be embroiled, to be involved in a illegitimate way, and the entire world is being virtually divided into two blocks or two halves, where most of the Islamic nations, Muslims, are being touted or as a party privy to the terrorist attacks and all that. Now, if a Mexican border, some of the warlords or some kind of drug lords, they intervene, they do some atrocities in the USA, the US is not going to bombard the entire Mexico. That's not the way world politics works. That's not the way UN has to foster peace and humanity has to survive. It has to be in the interest of the